Hi everybody. Doing my same hustle. Isabella just texted me. Whew, it's raining up at Mount Bachelor right now, which is not good news. She just texted me and said that the chairlifts aren't open. Yeah, she says maybe tomorrow will be better. I hope so too. Yeah, we're getting a little bit skunked by the weather conditions coming into the Cascades. Rain is like the worst thing for a ski resort. If you're not familiar with skiing, that might not make a lot of sense, but if you just think through it, like the colder it is, the drier it is, the warmer it is, because you stay dry. But if it's above freezing, you get wet, and being wet and cold is not the move. So anyway, that's going on. I'm, as I say, doing my hustle. I'm at the airport. There's a plane taking off right now. Waiting for a Uber or Lyft ride. It's a little private plane. I was here a couple days ago. I don't know how many days ago. I'm not very good at memory for as will remain undisclosed reasons. There was a bunch of jets that were flying out of the airport. That was pretty cool. I think that it's either the National Guard here or some kind of Air Force base in Portland or something like that. I don't know exactly. I got some pretty good wind burn from the mountain, but just wanted to make a quick video and say what's up to everybody out there. Share my thoughts today while I'm sitting here waiting to drive taxi. Got something to share with you guys that I think is pretty neat. We are Greek in my father's side, and a thing that I learned about from Mediterranean culture, Greek culture, Greek Orthodoxy, is that there is a symbol called the evil eye, and the evil eye is protection from evil, evil intent, evil spirits. And this is what it is. This is one of them that I have. And the evil eye looks back at you, you see? So if you look at somebody and they have the evil eye, it captures errant gazes, you see? So that's kind of neat. But here's my thought for the day. Creativity is an oft underappreciated virtue, and it's the fountain of youth in some respect, and it comes from a foundation of health and well-being, and health and well-being is often overlooked and is more recently in vogue to be argued against. So if you follow my logic, creativity can be pointed to as the source of all new and great things, right? I think it's fair then to assert logically that those that are able to sustain creativity are those that take it upon themselves to train psychologically, intellectually, emotionally, physically, etc. Right? Without going through the fire of personal development, there can be no communion with the unknown, the void, the place of the found knowledge, the creative space, if you will, right? Okay, so it's the people that train themselves that find the virtue that is creativity to bring back to the team, to the clan, to the society, right? I mean, this is not woo-woo. Any community, any interest, any fetish, if you're into it enough and you sustain your own well-being, you will eventually start to contribute to that community from the virtue of your own insight, perspective, intuition, feelings, thoughts, right? I'm a skier. Like, let's just use a disparate example, from what I had been talking about prior, just to make the point. I love to ski. I've skied for a long time. I have realized that to be able to continue to ski, I have to stay physically fit. I have to keep my head on, my shoulders. I have to treat people well so that I can hold down the jobs that allow me to, ski for free. I don't know what this person's doing, backing up right next to me. Oh, he's looking at the sign. He's kind of weirding me out though. All right, there he goes. Okay, so I've learned that structure of logic to be true in my ability to contribute to the skiing community where I find myself, okay? To be able to, perform as a ski patroller and show up Johnny on the spot on a wreck and, package somebody up and transport them, to be able to, teach a competent ski lesson, to be able to, get after a free ski line and do something that's provocative on the mountain, ski well. I have to take care of myself, right? I have to learn how to deal with pain, injury, negativity, my own demons, right? I have to calm my own demons. I have to face my own struggles, my own malevolence, my own self-loathing, my own hatred, my own past trauma. All that shit, right, becomes something that I have to deal with to maintain a sanctified creative space for the pursuits that I enjoy. Okay, you buy the argument? I hope so. If not, I don't know what the fuck to tell you. Okay, so there's my argument. Now here's my contention about how that argument is being corrupted in popular culture. I just heard a conversation between Bill Maher and Joe Rogan on the JRE podcast. Very good podcast. I highly recommend it. Lots of really interesting people, good conversations. And they were speaking about the issue of obesity in the United States. Now, Steven Pinker wrote a book, The Better Angels of Our Nature, I think. Talks about how the world is getting better, statistically in terms of poverty and a lot of other major metrics, which, can't be denied and should definitely be part of public discourse, right? In the face of calling out all of the, environmental devastation and all the other things that we can, be up in arms about, society is doing some things well. Okay. Here's where I mean to posit my original argument. In the conversation that Bill Maher and Joe Rogan were having, they were talking about how being obese is almost fashionable now. I mean, it's fashionable in a certain sense that there is a, no fat shaming de facto policy and social media and kind of popular discourse. You're beautiful just the way you are. That kind of thing. I hesitate to say that kind of bullshit, although I want to say that because I'm not here to judge you. I don't know your struggles. You know what I mean? I've got my own shit going on. I get it, but there's a real effective, complicated yet defensible point to be made, and that is being unhealthy is bad. Like, I don't know why this fucking argument has to be made, but it has to. I mean, I see why it has to be made, but it's comical that it's being, pushed by the wayside. And I can articulate why I think that the argument is being, is falling on deaf ears often. Okay. Being unhealthy is bad. Okay? Let's start there. Obesity is to blame for, tens of thousands of deaths a year in this country. More than, other major concerns that we have as a society. Pick one that, is a hot button issue. I would argue that unless it's like, heart disease, obesity probably is the cause of more deaths than that. And the reason being obesity leads to heart disease in a lot of cases. Okay, so why is it that we as a culture, the most kind of central power of the first world in the United States, have lost the importance socially of health, well-being, physical health, mental health, psychological, emotional, spiritual well-being. It's because it's a challenge. To maintain health is not an affirmation. It's not a immediate gratification. It's not a pat on the back. It's a kick in the ass. To face the ramifications of ill health, of illness, whether that be in thought pattern, in behavior, in eating habits, in sedentary versus active lifestyle choices, in overarching philosophical worldview, there are ramifications for an unbalanced approach to any of those things for the individual and the society that individual finds themselves in. So we, as a society, adopt this narrative of you're great just the way you are at our own peril. And what it's a rudimentary argument to say, don't judge me, how dare you? When the argument is not that a person's value as a human being is being called into question, when the argument is, if you're 400 pounds, get your fat ass out and lose some weight. If the person that it finds themselves in a position of having to hear those words is being coached to, however subtly reject the value of that message, it's really dangerous, in my opinion, for the culture as a whole. Because how do we have the discussion about fitness, health, well-being, mental balance, spiritual positivity, philosophical open-mindedness? How do we move ourselves towards bettering ourselves and our communities? How do we move the American male, the American female, towards improvement when people are so fearful of judgment? Right? There's two components of evaluation. There's judgment and mercy. There's pointing out insufficiency, and there's applauding accomplishment. They are inextricably linked. If there's a circle and you're cutting a shape out of it, one side is what a person has accomplished. The other side is their insufficiency relative to what is possible to be accomplished. So there's no valuing a person without also, in and of that evaluation, being critical with respect to the things that person can improve. Now, I am only coming at this from evaluating myself so harshly. And I find that the more honest I am with myself, specifically about my shortcomings, my insufficiencies, my malevolence, my hatred, my propensity towards negative behavior, my addictions, my lack of conviction in certain areas, my all of the things that constitute the shit that I feel bad about. That's the important stuff, because that's the stuff that gives me a fair and balanced look into the future with respect to how to improve, how to get better, how to plan for a better tomorrow. The regressive, childlike, defensive, frankly pathetic way of evaluating myself would be to say something like, I'm a person and I should feel good with just the way I am. Because the problem with that on a conceptual level is that it stops the discussion. What dialogue I can have with myself stops in that instance. And that's really dangerous, because then it lets all of the past behaviors, all of those patterns continue. And not all of them are positive. And if you think that all of your behavior patterns are positive, you're fucking lying to yourself. So think clearly and realize that the people that love you the most, and yourself included, are going to give you the positive, the pat on the back, and also the evaluated, the evaluation, the judgment, the kick in the ass. And we all need both of them. So I just wanted to try to codify, to articulate that thought, that our society, our culture, our families, our communities benefit from the infusion of creative energy, creativity, new things, right? That's what we need. That's the lifeblood. That's the water of pre-cosmogonic chaos, to quote Jordan Peterson from his book. The water of life, the fountain of youth is creativity, is new thought, action, behavior, is newness coming into existence. The way to bring newness into existence is to have a foundation of health, happiness, strength, well-being. Those things are not rooted in the defense of the ego. Those things are rooted in the desire for improvement. Champions are born when the loser decides to fight. So fight. Thank you for listening. See you next time.